Hello, travelers and monster catchers abound. I'm Stella Ferris, and you have crash landed on the Monster Catchers Journal podcast. Join me as we trek through the stars to the Exxon Galaxy, where my planet called Nibiru is. Nibiru is a pyramid planet where, instead of being a final resting place for the dead, it's housing for the living. But this podcast is not about my planet or its customs, so let's get into why we're really here. Okay, so we're here because of Glyphs. Glyphs are small creatures who feed off the magic of Nibiru. Our ancient tablets say that one day, while searching a mine, a small pyramid-shaped egg was found, and inside was a small creature who was later tamed, and that's why we have Glyphs. I'm still not sold on that being the real story, but we can't see the tablets. They're heavily guarded by the NCA. It's like the CIA on Earth, but for Nibiru. So, if you're going to learn about monster taming here on my planet, there is one thing you need to know, and it's about glyphids. Glyphids are a small pyramid device for capturing glyphs. You place it on the ground, press the button at the top of the pyramid, and it opens up and sucks in a glyph. But you must be careful. If it sucks in 2 glyphs at a time, it will undoubtedly break your glyphid device. I've told you all I can about the glyphids, so we will move along to our next subject. Now it's time to tell you guys about my encounter with the Orabeak. So, it was a warm summer day in the Anato Desert. I decided to do a little monster hunting. I was in search of the Shadow Claw. It's a griffin-like creature made only of shadows. I heard bug wings and a low electronic hum ahead. This could only mean one thing, the Orabeak. They have a shriek so loud it could deafen even the strongest human. I traveled on further ahead when I saw it perched on a dark gray stone. It was, in fact, the Orabeak, as I had expected. I tried to stay quiet as to not alert the Orabeak to my presence, but it saw me anyways and let out a piercing screech. As I placed my glyphit and set it, I fell to the ground, clutching my ears. Luckily, I was able to recover quick. I recalibrated my glyphit, and he was caught, though he didn't make it easy on me. So, if you're going glyph hunting, there are some things you need to know, like about the dangers. Each glyph is unique and will not always need the same glyphid, so it's best to know what color glyphid to use. Also, each glyphs are different from the last, so it's best to watch for any harmful attacks they may use, and always carry a counter shield. It may save your life someday. So now that we've covered all the dangers of glyph catching, let's talk about the school that I went to. So, there's a school you can go to now that allows you to learn about monster catching on Nibiru. I graduated top of my class at the Lucan Academy for glyph catching, but it's not for everyone. Just know, though, Without a license, it's illegal to catch glyphs, so serious jail time will await you shall you choose such crimes. So, my first glyph was an Orabeak. At first, we didn't get along. He would use his screech to hurt my ears, but then we bonded over a sticky bag. It's a black sesame bagel covered in butter and cherry chocolate sauce. I shared some, and we've been friends ever since. Your first glyph will always be your best friend. Just remember that. So, I know I've probably talked about this already, but there is something we need to talk about, and that's knowing your glyph. So, glyphs can be temperamental, especially when not being given what they want. So it's best to always know what your glyph wants at all times, or they could make your life a living hell. And trust me, nobody wants that, so make sure your glyph is happy for your own sanity. So, my final thoughts on the Orabeak is simple. The Orabeak is a testament to the strength and agility of the Glyphs. They are feared and loved by all across Nibiru. Make no mistake, as even the strongest Glyphid can be disrupted by this Glyph. But if you can bond with the Orabeak, it's the best feeling in the world. I would recommend that you get to know your Glyph. You get to know what they like and what they want in you as their Glyph master. So, if there's any sage advice I can give you on the Orabeak, if you're wanting to catch it as your own Glyph, it's that you want to know what they like, because each one of the Orabeaks are different. Some like sweets, some like salty food, some like to float in the clouds, and some just like to sleep a lot. So, a lot has happened here on Nibiru. I've caught countless glyphs, and they all are like my overprotective brothers and sisters. I mean, just last week, a woman asked for directions, and Shadowclaw used his vanish move to create a mist around her. When the poor woman made it out, she was so disoriented. I felt so bad. So, my final thoughts are train hard, because nothing can prepare you for a glyph's attitude. What? It's true. You guys are like little emotional gangsters. You gotta admit that you kinda do have an attitude. I mean, let's just face it. It's the truth. So, now we're gonna talk about Shadowclaw. Shadowclaw lives near the Anato Desert in a bloodbark tree. It doesn't grow leaves, and there's a flat surface at the top, perfect for building a nest. Shadowclaw is a reclusive and aggressive creature. Shadowclaw's best move is Bomb Talon. He can detach a talon and regrow it, while the broken one falls to the ground and blows up. So it's best to keep out of the sight of the talon that falls to the ground, because it explodes. So, I encountered Shadowclaw on a hot winter day. Yes, I said hot and winter together. It's hot year-round in the Anato Desert. But, anyways, I walked upon the bloodbark tree and was immediately spotted. The Shadowclaw let out a large sound that reverberated in my body long after he was done. The Shadowclaw flew down at me as I set up my fire glyphid. He used his bomb talon. I tried to run, but it got my leg, leaving a big nasty gash. But I at least caught the Shadowclaw as well that day. I still have the scar to prove it. And, he's still in my glyphid. I still use him from time to time in battles, He's good against, He's good against ground types. So, that is how I caught my Shadow Claw. And one thing to remember when trying to catch a Glyphid is, you want to bring the right Glyphid. I'm sorry I keep stressing this, but it's the truth. You want to bring the right Glyphid, because if you don't, you might end up in danger. And nobody wants that. Now we move on to the 4 Glyphs of the week. Number 1 is called Long Neck. It's a sphinx with a long neck. They're rare and very wild. They live near pyramids and are friendly and easy to catch. And they're easy to catch because, I live on a pyramid planet. So they kind of just stick around. There's a bunch of them. They're kind of like what you would consider a starter glyph that you can catch because they're so easy to catch. Which could attribute to, like I said, their homing place. Anyways, second one is Shadowclaw. And Shadowclaw made the list because of his unique abilities. Just like Orabeak also made the list because of his unique abilities. So, the last one on the list is Dark Eyes. And Dark Eyes is a Anubis-like creature with dark eyes. His best move is the ability to control shadows. But there is one shadow that Dark Eyes cannot control. And that is Shadowclaw. Shadowclaw can't be controlled by anyone. And if you try, you might just lose an arm or a leg. So, I wouldn't recommend trying to control that one. I tried. I almost lost a leg. Okay, so we're going to tell you one more story, and this is about the Chaos Serpent. So, the twin sons of Nibiru burned mercilessly overhead as I pushed deeper into the Anato Desert. My hand closed around the smooth black surface of my Glyphid. Beside me, my 2 partners waited. Orabeak, a golden scarab with a glossy duck-like beak, hovered in the shimmering heat, its iridescent wings shedding faint gold light. Shadowclaw, a towering griffin made entirely of shadows, prowled silently, its form rippling like smoke in the desert breeze. The tracker in my other hand beeped instantly. The Chaos Serpent was close. We reached the ruins of an ancient spire, half buried in the dunes. The carvings on its surface depicted spiraling serpents and blazing suns, their meanings lost to time. The air grew heavy, thick with the scent of ozone and something older, something primal. The ground trembled beneath my boots. A guttural hiss rose from the sands, and the spire shook violently. Suddenly, the Chaos Serpent emerged, uncoiling from the desert like a living nightmare, its obsidian scales shimmering in the sunlight, and its 4 crimson eyes burned with malice. The sandstorm it summoned roared to life, blinding me with swirling dunes and cutting winds. "Orabeak, keep it distracted," I shouted, gripping the Glyphid tightly. After Orabeak darted into the storm, leaving golden streaks of light as it zigzagged through the chaos. The serpent's massive head snapped at it, but Orabeak's agility kept it 1 step ahead. "Shadowclaw, it's your turn." Shadowclaw launched towards its wings, slicing through the storm with ease. With a sharp screech, it extended a talon, detached it, and hurled it towards the serpent's coiled body. The talon struck the ground near the beast and detonated in a burst of shadowy energy, sending a shockwave through the desert. The Chaos Serpent roared in a fury, its eyes glowing even brighter. One of its massive coils lashed out, narrowly missing Shadowclaw as the griffin reformed instantly, its detached talon regrown. This wasn't going to be easy. I scanned the serpent's thrashing body, looking for an opening. Then I saw it, a faint scar running along its underbelly, a weak point hidden beneath its shifting scales. "Orabeak, lead it towards the spire. Shadowclaw, prepare another strike." Beak swooped low, emitting bursts of golden light to keep the serpent's attention. It slithered after the scarab, his massive body crushing the sand beneath it. Just as the serpent lunged, Beak shot upward, exposing the scar for a split second. Now, Shadowclaw! Shadowclaw hurled another explosive talon, this time striking the scar dead on. The serpent let out a deafening roar as the explosion sent it reeling. This was my chance. I stepped forward, holding the Glyphid in both hands. Its surface began to glow faintly as I activated it, channeling its strange energy towards the Chaos Serpent. The pyramid emitted a low hum, and a glowing field surrounded the serpent, pulling its massive form toward the Glyphid. It thrashed violently, its 4 eyes blazing with defiance, but the Glyphid's energy field held strong. With one final earth-shaking roar, the Chaos Serpent was pulled into the Glyphid. The sandstorm ceased immediately, leaving the desert eerily still. I held the Glyphid in my hands, its black surface now warm to the touch, faintly glowing from the Chaos Serpent's trapped inside. Beak landed beside me, its golden wings folding gracefully, while Shadowclaw reformed at my side, its shadowy body flickering softly in the sunlight. "We did it," I said, letting out a shaky breath. As we began the long walk back, I couldn't help but wonder. Was the Chaos Serpent truly contained, or had I just invited a storm to slumber in my hand, waiting for the right moment to awaken? One thing was certain. The hunt was over, but the story of the Chaos Serpent was far from finished. Well, travelers and monster catchers alike, I hope my podcast has helped you so far on your journey through the world of Glyphs. This has been the Monster Catcher's Journal, and remember, next week I will tell how I caught another monster. So, this is the Monster Catcher's Journal signing off, and stay tuned for the next monster that I tell you about. And also, remember all these tips that I gave you, and from now on, since I've already given you all the tips I can on how to catch them, how to keep them happy, and I've told you about the school, you will only be hearing stories from here on out from my adventures through the Anato Desert of how I caught monsters. I won't just be speaking of the Anato Desert either. I'll be talking about other places too. But the Anato Desert is a very interesting one that we have not discovered much about on my planet Nibiru. So, anyways, thank you for watching, and this has been the Monster Catcher's Journal, signing off.